We often view struggling wildlife through a lens of pity. It is easy to look at a species facing relentless hardship and assume they are simply unlucky. Specific biological traits are currently colliding with human expansion in ways that are entirely measurable. The challenges these animals face map out a specific set of human-driven and environmental pressures, from climate shifts to industrialized poaching. Isolating those specific threat mechanics is the only way to determine where our resources can do the most good. This creates a dilemma for anyone looking to help. If you have a limited budget to donate or limited hours to volunteer, which conservation cause should you prioritize? This chart tracks global conservation funding against the steady decline of vulnerable populations. Categorizing these species by their primary threat, climate, poaching, or habitat, reveals why broad spending doesn't always lead to recovery. Donors are often forced to choose between stabilizing a broad ecosystem or providing high-cost emergency support to a single population on the brink of collapse. Determining where to send your resources requires looking past the branding and analyzing conservation projects through a return on investment framework. We can map these options on a quadrant chart. On the vertical axis, we have the cost of intervention. On the horizontal, the probability of the species surviving. Our first group, the biologically vulnerable, sits right in the center. These species have highly specialized requirements that make it difficult for them to adapt naturally as their environment changes. The giant panda relies on a single food source, meaning its survival depends entirely on the protection of very specific managed bamboo forests. Localized interventions, like guarding a specific nesting beach for sea turtles, provide a measurable increase in the number of hatchlings that reach the water. Emperor penguins face a similar constraint. Their entire reproductive cycle is tied to the stability of the ice shelves they inhabit. These localized projects offer a high initial impact, yet they remain tethered to the health of the larger climate. Protecting a nesting beach only works if the sea level remains stable. Next, we have Category 2, the conflict casualties. These species inhabit the moderate-cost, high local probability quadrant. These animals are directly pressured by human hunting, black market demand, or retaliatory killings. As habitats shrink, predators like the snow leopard are pushed into human settlements. Keeping them alive requires funding programs that compensate farmers for lost livestock. In other regions, the threat is an organized, militarized black market. The value of a single rhino horn drives a high-stakes cycle of poaching and prevention. This requires direct intervention. You are paying for a continuous security presence to physically protect these animals every day. Direct intervention provides immediate survival rates, but it is a perpetual commitment. Without continuous funding, the security apparatus collapses and the poaching resumes. Finally, we see Category 3, which splits into two extremes: systemic advocacy and emergency triage. Some species, like the blue whale, are not targeted by individual hunters, but are caught in the gears of globalized industry. Protecting them involves navigating international maritime policy and global supply chains to prevent ship strikes and underwater noise pollution. This work requires years of political lobbying. It offers a significant long-term impact, but provides no immediate emotional reward for a donor. On the opposite end is the northern white rhino, a species that represents the absolute limit of conservation effort. This rhino embryo model reflects the extreme lengths of genetic rescue. Scientists are now attempting to build a future for a species that essentially no longer exists in the wild. Emergency triage represents a significant investment in boundary-pushing science. While it offers a path to reversing extinction, the probability of restoring a self-sustaining wild population remains low compared to the astronomical cost. We can align your resources with your values by using a decision matrix that separates immediate relief from long-term policy work. The pragmatic philanthropist prioritizes verifiable day-to-day survival. Their resources should go toward Category 2, anti-poaching and direct conflict resolution. The crisis responder accepts that they are funding high-stakes scientific research. Their investment in IVF triage pushes the boundaries of biology, even if it doesn't immediately repopulate the wild. The systemic advocate targets the global baseline. They invest their time in macro-level policy and supply chain lobbying, which is the only way to address industrial threats. Every approach has a role. Donor burnout typically occurs when an investment in one category is made with the expectation of a different result. Efficient resource allocation is the primary factor currently determining the future of these populations. We have a limited window to address these challenges. By applying a strict return on investment analysis to our philanthropy, we move beyond being passive observers. We become effective participants in the survival of the natural world.